representative, Minister for Security. As a soldier, you know that he would have saluted, and he just did that, saluted, representing.
Goodbye, comrade.
Saying goodbye, comrade, that's correct, And then we have Roland Paul, parliamentary representative for the Paybush constituency. And I must say, a very well organized, well rehearsed, I should say, proceedings here today. And it says so much.
Ian Douglas, I think.
Oh, Honorable Ian Douglas, parliamentary representative for the Portsmouth constituency, yes. Ian Douglas, yes. He too would have had an affinity to Patrick John, amidst the fact that Patrick may have fired his father, but his uncle, Ruzi, and Patrick worked quite well in 2000 as the leader of the Dominican Labour Party, then as the CIS leader. Now we have the parliamentary representative Shakira Lockhart, Hippolyte, who is now placing a wreath onto the grave of the deceased Patrick John, first Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica. And next is the parliamentary representative for the Granford constituency, that is Gertrude Roberts. Greta Roberts. I always say Gertrude, her mom, but Greta Roberts. Thank you, Greta Roberts. Her mother too was a parliamentary representative. Mom also was a principal. She was a principal, and so she followed suit of her mom in many ways. And the next we are seeing is the Minister of Education and also parliamentary representative of the Cassibus constituency, Miss Octavia Alfred, now placing her wreath. And now we're seeing Dr. McIntyre. As I said this morning, his father and Patrick would have had a close affinity, especially his father as a chicken poultry for many years. He's just released his wreath. Now we're seeing Ken Edwards from the Lapling constituency, parliamentary representative, has just done the same. And
Cecil, there's something with flowers that really, brightens
color,
the place.
color.
The foliage is really pretty.
Yeah.
A lot of white.
Kaleidoscope
and
of
red.
color.
Yes, yes.
I like to say now we're seeing
Yes.
Kalinago representative, Jose Frederick, has just done, and he's laying on his wreath. And we are now seeing, who's this? Dr. Addis King, yes. Dr. Addis King, St. Joseph parliamentary representative.
She's now laying her wreath. Okay, so she'll be followed by Cecil, who is
Senator Riviere.
Yes.
We normally call him Caressa, Gregory Riviere.
Yes.
Gregory Caressa Riviere, Calypsonian by fame.
Yes.
Senator.
Of course, and I think next would Senator Cassani Laville. I'm not too sure.
Yes. Cassani Laville, yes. Senator Cassani Laville in the Ministry of Communication and Works. And the green economy, is this?
Yes, the green, yes. And
the digital economy. And next is Senator Oscar
George Cecil, yes.
Yes, who is also our Minister for Telecommunication. Who next is following next?
I'm not too sure from where I am.
Oh, yes, Senator Roland, Deputy Speaker of the House.
Laying his wreath at this time. And still quite a few to come still, Cecil. But this is being done in an orderly fashion. So we see now, Cecil.
This looks like Baptiste.
Baptiste, yes. Evelina Baptiste.
Evelina Baptiste. Yes. One time I just couldn't make out at all the mask, Yes, so it's Evelina Baptiste. Chief Magistrate. And followed Karen Privot, yes. A very large one, very large one, colors of all kinds, white, yellow, red,
I don't think there's enough
green.
Space now to lay.
Lennox Lawrence.
Yes. That was paid to Edward. So now we are saying
Senator, I'm sorry, we are the parliament
the
was
Salisbury
Salisbury,
constituency,
Hector John.
Laney's Reef.
Lane's
So he
Reef.
has found a spot, Cecil.
Yeah.
Somebody else's reef.
Yeah.
He found a spot on the side, so that's good. Reefs now going to
This one is from Acting Chief of Police, Mr. Cobbett.
the PAL rep for Salisbury did.
He was sold, as we saw earlier on. Now we are seeing the granddaughter, Naomi John, place a reef, and followed by, because where we are standing, we're obscured by arms, and we would like to tell you exactly what is happening. And so the next is done by the deputy acting chief. And followed next by quite a number of the reefs placed where we, as I said, we've been obstructed by now we've seen Nairi John, the son of Patrick John, laying his reef. Now we're seeing the Mr. Charles Angelo Savrin is also making his way out, you know, and so we know that in reference to the social distance, less people that there are is better for us for the protocol, the health protocol, you know, and so we are seeing from the distance that we are. Oh yes, the son, Rennick John.
We are at a point where we cannot really see.
Yes.
But we have to go back in the sun because we want a clear quality. The reception, probably, I think we will break it up. But no, we are not at a very good vantage point. So whilst we are here, because it's important, of course, that we capture a lot, you know, and let people know exactly what is happening.
Yes, and it's important, you know, for the purpose of information and the purpose of people gathering information, they love gathering information that can actually get the information and themselves can document what we have said here this afternoon. And we're just seeing passing us now, Magistrate Ms. Baptist. We have just seen also the parliamentary representative for the Roseau South and the St. Joseph constituency. Oh yes, well it's her auntie. Yes, Shakira's. Yes. Now we're seeing the parliamentary representative for Paybush and also the Minister for Communication and Works are passing us now. And we're also fortunate to see again the Kalinago parliamentary representative, the Minister for Education, and also that of Senator Roland, and also now the Minister for Agriculture, Honorable Grant. And now we're seeing also Ian Douglas and the Speaker of the House, and also Kent Edwards. Good afternoon to you, sir. I won't make you pass us that easily. No, never. Why you? I have spoken so much about you, Mr. Douglas, in reference to the relationship of your father and Patrick John.
Yeah.
The relationship of Patrick John and your uncle, and now you.
Yeah. Yeah, good question. As I told Curtis this morning, I grew up in a home of the Dominican Labour Party. And of course, you know that my father was very involved with the party from 1975. So I got to know Patrick John very personally. Patrick John's kids, Nairi and Aisha, used to come home and actually spend summer holidays with us, you know, going to sea and bathe and stuff, and, you know, fond of football. Nairi himself was a goalkeeper and I was a goalkeeper. So we grew up and I had always remained close, you know, to the family. I actually called Desiree Auntie Desiree throughout my life, you know, and we've always remained that way up till today. And, you know, it's sad when a stalwart of the Dominican Labour Party passes on. And I always see it as my responsibility to continue the legacy of the leaders who have gone to the great beyond, you know. I mean, look at so many of the things that Patrick did in 4.5 years in Dominica. Patrick established the Kinfield Airport. He established the Dominica Social Security, which right now, people who have worked all their life and had not in the government service can get a little pension in the twilight years of their life. Patrick did so many housing schemes around Dominica, Bath Estate, Canefield, Point Michelle, Wesley. All the housing revolution we talk about right now is grounded in Labour Party principles established by our great founders and our leaders like Edward Oliver LeBlanc and Patrick John. Despite what may have happened in the late 80s, in the 70s and the 80s, and I think Simeon spoke about it in his eulogy, that the forces at the time, conspired really and came together to cause the demise of Patrick John and the Dominica Labour Party, and perhaps Patrick himself didn't handle the situation as best as we could, and that caused us to become fragmentalized and the party itself split right down the center freeway. The progressive left, like Para and Rosie and Bernard Wilshire, went one way, and the Democratic Labour Party, who was formed by OJ, who was the interim Prime Minister at the time after the demise, the May 29 demise of the Labour Party and Patrick John, formed the Democratic Labour Party, OJ and Mike, my father, who Patrick had fired before in 1976. And then you had the old Labour Party, had the core of the party staying with Patrick, and we went into the 1980 elections divided against the Freedom Party. And the Freedom Party eventually ended up winning with a landslide victory of 17 seats and 2 independents in the persons of Conrad Cyrus in Grand Forks and Jenna Amo, former president and then parliamentary representative for the Paybush constituency, who effectively gave the Freedom Party tacit support in the House. And we had to struggle to get the party even first back together again. It was in 1983, in 84, in preparation for the 1985 elections, that the warring factions of the Dominica Labour Party realized that we had to come back together in a united front. And that's why we as young politicians today in government, we take the lessons from the past. And we know that united we stand, divided we fall. We're going to be united. We have a strong, decisive, visionary leader in the person of Dr. the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, qualified and experienced leader. And we're going to be reunited around him. We have a vision for the development of this country as the past Labour Party under Libla and Patrick had. And, they got distracted and caused persons who didn't have the best interests of the party at heart to infiltrate the party and cause the demise of the party. It's not going to happen again. We're not going to allow it to happen again. We are a disciplined, focused bunch. We have the blueprint for the development of Dominica, especially in these precarious times that the world in which we will live in right now. And we're going to stick to the task. And we are here to bury our fallen comrade, remembering him fondly for all of the progressive development initiatives that he took in Dominica, but also bearing in mind the mistakes that he made that should be lessons for us. It is on their shoulders that we stand, and we continue to do the work. For the underprivileged, the less fortunate, the Malawi, the people of the country. That's what Labour always stood for, and that's what Labour always meant. Patrick touched the lives of so many people around Dominica, people who couldn't get a job in the banks because of your color of your skin or who your surname or your father was at the time. You couldn't get a scholarship to go to a university to pursue a professional degree, before the Dominica Labour Party. And then it was the Dominica Labour Party, who had the philosophy of sending people to study, forging alliances with foreign governments like Cuba, so that poor people, children, could gain an education free of charge and come back and live in a house that Labour built. That is what Labour stood for back then, and that's what Labour is still standing for today, those founding principles. And that's why, as West Indian, as Caribbean people, as black people, say we have to write our history, so that those to come in the future will read about the great things that our past leaders have done, so that we can continue it. We cannot make them die in vain. We can't make their legacy go in vain.
I'm sure you would be able to tell us, in reference to the symbol of the Labour Party, one's the hat by the Liberal Labour Party and the shoe by the Dominica Labour Party. We know that in 1970 they both went in different factions. The hat, that is of the Liberal Labour Party, and the shoe, the Dominica Labour Party. And we saw the victory of the Liberal Labour Party 8-2 won, and what you think is the symbol of the hat and the shoe to the Dominican Labour Party or the Labour parties?
Well, when the party was founded by Phyllis Shand Alfrey and E.C. Loblack back in 1959 or thereabout, 55, sorry, thank you, 1955 or thereabouts, the shoe was the original symbol of the party because it meant that we were taking the barefoot man from the ground and giving him shoes on his feet, empowering him. It was a metaphoric expression for the empowerment of the working class to give them a chance to earn a better standard of living in their own country. That is what it originally was, the shoe. But then later on, as you said, I think in the 1950s or thereabouts, we had an internal power struggle within the party. And so Libla had to dismiss some of the members from his cabinet. And the party sort of suffered fragmentation again. And then the party, Libla had to almost like go out on his own, leave the shoe Labour Party and go out on his own and establish the Libla hat. That's where the symbol of the hat came from. 1970. That's where it came from. But the party, subsequent to that, resolved their issues and was united again. And then again, we saw the symbol of the hat emerging again in 1979 when Oliver Seraphin OJ resigned from